Yes, please come and join us for those days. It's going to be very exciting, and it will be quite a transformation, not only for you, but adding an aspect to your healing practice.
Yeah, so there are two parts to this invitation. One is if you're already a healer and you want to take your practice or become a life coach, this is one of our tracks to help people do that and go further in a more integrated approach to working with your clients and with yourself. But the other part is we'll be doing an experience. So the experience will change you. The experience will, I have here a handy dandy stone. It's kind of like, when we're kids, anything energetically that was put out there, we pretty much received and put into our bodies. So here, I'm handing you this stone. So after a while, that stone gets pretty heavy, and especially if there are a whole bunch of stones.
Yeah.
So if that's a stone of shame, if that's a stone of guilt, if that's a stone of you're not good enough, if that's a stone, all these different kinds of stories, and we start carrying them around, and they have huge impact on our health, our wealth, our well-being, our intimacy, our connection to the world, and ultimately from inhibiting us from being in our purpose.
Yes.
So we want to help you drop the stones.
It feels a lot lighter.
Yeah, so let go of some of what you don't need to carry so you can be really awake in these rather turbulent times. That you can be in your peace and your freedom and really feel like you're navigating in your purpose, and all that means about changing the story.
Changing the story.
Yeah.
So
talk about
so
that.
well so Kirk always, my beloved husband, points out to me that I do body story work, and I have done it intuitively without knowing it for years. And I will tell before this we made this, we're thinking, what story can I tell? And I had no idea what story I could tell you, but all of a sudden it occurs to me what story to tell. So this is a body story. This is what to illustrate the principle. So when I was a young little lad of 23 and was just coming out, being gay. Remember, this is back a long time ago in the 80s, and back then it was a big deal. It's still a big deal, but it was a much bigger deal back then. And so it was a big old secret. It was my most, I just held on to that secret for years, for a decade or more. And then I had to go away and go to Europe and be off the continent. And I was studying German that summer in the mid-'80s. And being away and being free, I met a bunch of gay men. And remember, this is the first time. It's not like I'd ever hung around other gay men. This was the first time. So this, it's not just so I went and had lunch with them all. And I just remember being 23 years old and sitting with all these German gay men. And I was studying German, so it was fun to speak German with them. And for the first time, it wasn't a secret. I mean, they knew who I was. They knew who I was. And I remember that moment so vividly because as I sat there chatting with them and sitting at the table of these 12, it wasn't a secret anymore. I was sitting with people who knew my secret. And I physically felt, just like this stone, I physically felt a weight coming off me like that. And I went, oh. And that was my body story of shame and secrecy that was lifted out of me.
Yeah. So no matter what your orientation, your gender, who you are, and how you embody yourself in the world, we all have stories, and they're weighing us down.
Yes.
And they're inhibiting us, or they're causing us to kind of drag along rather than shine brightly, especially in these times. The difference between this medicine shield and a shield that keeps you from receiving all the good gifts that you desire is the medicine shield's about weaving all the parts of you together So in this work,
Yeah, so what you're going to learn is to do what I did with those things, as Kirk just explained, keeping you back, and you're going to learn specific methodology for doing this. I mean, I did it intuitively, but there were certain things that I did that we can talk about and quantify, and we can recreate when we have a specific area, whether it's about shame or guilt, about money, as Kirk said, relationships, all kinds of areas in our life, our businesses. All these things, there are ways that we can liberate ourselves from these things that are holding us back.
Absolutely.
And we do it through the body.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the difference between this work, Donny and I used the work of, I met Elizabeth Kubler-Ross before she died, and she used to talk about there were 4 quadrants to our lives. There was our intellectual part, our emotional part, our spiritual part, and our physical parts. And when you work with one part, it touches the other part. But if you work with all 4 parts, then it really speeds up the healing process. It takes you further in manifesting your heart's desires. And that's what this work is all about. So if you want to get unstuck, if you want to get further in feeling like you're awake and in your purpose, as a healer, learning things for yourself and others as a life coach, then this work might be just the very missing thread that you've been looking for. So hope we've juiced it up for you and given you some thoughts. Namaste.